Facundo Pellistri is not good enough for Manchester United, at least just yet anyway. So despite being signed back in 2020 for a fee in the region of £9 million from Uruguayan club Peñarol, Facundo Pellistri hasn't yet been able to establish himself in the United side, only making 2 appearances for Ten Hag's side this season, and really becoming a sideline figure. Now the instinct is to say he's still only young, and so we have to be patient with his development. However, he is now 21, which really isn't that young considering where Pellistri is in his development. And come the end of the season, he would have been at United for 3 whole seasons, and during the 2-season-long loan spell he spent at Alaves in La Liga, he only managed to make a combined 11 appearances over those 2 seasons. And whenever I watch Pellistri, he does show spurts of ability, but nothing concrete. He's a player who appears to have the style of what could be a top-level winger in the making, as he does have decent dribbling technique, which combined with a burst of acceleration, alongside pace over 10 to 15 yards, which does make him a good carrier of the ball, particularly down the right side when he does have space. However, I am somewhat underwhelmed with Pellistri's decision making, as he often dribbles into areas that are just too congested, leading to him losing the ball. Sometimes he's able to glide past a player immaculately, but seems to hold on to the ball, not releasing when the opportunity is there, and so his play is very haphazard. Now I did think his performance against Real Betis the other week in the second leg of the Europa League was a significant improvement to the other times I've seen him play for United. And to me, he seems like a player that's going to thrive on the transition, receiving the ball quickly after a turnover when the opposition's midfield is out of position, vacating a lot of space in the midfield, allowing Pellistri to drive forward into that space, carrying the attack forward at speed and basically being the catalyst for the counter. However, once he gets into the final third, I just don't think he has the decisiveness, the vision or the ability to create anything of substance. And so from here, he has to move the ball on to someone like Fernandes in a good position for a chance to then be created. And so whilst he can be incredibly useful in certain situations, he is very limited as a player. I think against deeper compact defensive units that aren't exposing as much space in the midfield when they have the ball, he's definitely going to struggle, as I just don't think he has the link-up play or the technical ability to glide past players in congested areas, or pick out incisive passes to progress the ball into the final third, or what is probably the most problematic, create any big chances when in the final third. Now obviously he is still young, but he's not that young, he's 21. But when I watch him, he kind of resembles more of an 18 or a 19-year-old, who's only just come up and is playing his first few games in senior football, as he is quite erratic and unconvincing at times with his play. And that for me is the most concerning part about Pellistri. Yes, he does have potential and he is still young, so United should be patient with him to a degree. But as we've seen with players like McTominay and Lingard, you do need a cut-off point. I think if you look at someone like Garnacho comparatively with Pellistri, both players certainly do have major faults in their game, with both being erratic, often not making the right decision, and sometimes being quite wasteful. However, the difference between the 2 players is that Garnacho just seems to have something natural that Pellistri doesn't. Garnacho always seems a threat when he's running at his fullback, even if it doesn't always come off, and you always get the feeling that he has the ability to create something out of nothing. And the same goes for Antony as well, who can cut inside on his left foot and curl the ball into the far corner, whereas Pellistri is a lot more one-dimensional. He certainly does have the acceleration and the burst of pace to go down the outside of a fullback, and when he is able to drive past a defender and get completely in front of him, he is able to pick out a pass in the box. However, against most Premier League fullbacks, this is going to be hard to do, and most of the time when you go down the outside of a fullback, you're going to have to shift the ball quickly, creating space for you then to whip across into the box, and I just don't think Pellistri has this kind of quality in his game. And given that he is now 21 with 2 years left on his Manchester United contract, I think next season is going to be make or break. But despite my criticisms of Pellistri, he does have something there. When you see him carry the ball forward at speed down the right flank, you do get excited, and I think if he is able to develop his crossing ability, mastering the technique of shifting the ball quickly, going down the outside and whipping in a quality cross, then he can definitely be a Premier League level player. However, that could take another year or 2 or even more to come. And we've seen with players like Adama Traore that sometimes this decision making ability and end product just never comes into their game. And given that both Amad Diallo and Antony are of a similar age to Pellistri and are a level or 2 above the Uruguayan at the moment, I think the only viable option for Ten Hag next season is to loan out Pellistri to a lower table Bundesliga side next season, and from here give him the opportunity to fight his way into the starting 11 and develop these parts of his game. And if he can come back next summer improved, he can then compete with Antony and Amad Diallo for that right wing spot in the United squad. But at the moment, I just don't think Pellistri is going to be good enough long term for United, and I see his future being elsewhere. As I said in previous videos, I am now doing full video and channel reviews So if you want me to give you any advice or feedback for a specific video or for your whole channel, you can send an email to atlantisfootball96@gmail.com. But if you just enjoyed the video, you can check the description for more. You can subscribe to the channel and click the bell so you do get notified when the video comes out, and put your thoughts in the comment section below. And you can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram, which will be in the description, for more content as well.